So, welcome back to Far Right Watch. Now, like any other week where I bring up one of these videos for you, barely strung together by my disgust and bile, this week we have no shortage of material to balk at. Because this week, like most weeks, we go a little bit deeper, a little darker. We get that little bit closer to our inevitable endgame. Full-scale societal collapse, civil war, and all of it soundtracked by Morris dancing. Oh, no. Oh, yes. I hate Morris dancing. Because this week has felt especially depressing.
What is wrong with you? Why are you assaulting me? Why are you assaulting me?
Shut the up, you parasite.
As the far right have sought to occupy a space where they both push the boundaries of what is acceptable and concurrently get upset when you point out that that's not exactly fucking centrist, is it? And what I mean by that is the succession of people who were dressing up on social media in blackface for Halloween, who were then, if not defended by, were willfully ignored by the same people who don't like being labelled as far right. Jesus Christ. I remember when this sort of shit would get you fired. Like, cast your mind back. You know, just imagine for a second that somebody you knew back in the day had posted a picture of themselves like this in blackface in a sort of like own the libs joke. You would have been like, mate, what are you doing? Calm down, mate. Don't get your pants in a twist. It's just funny. It's just a joke. It's just funny to me how offended you get. Right. But Phil, mate, look how offended you are. He's so edgy. Right, but Phil, I think you just need to ask yourself the question: Are you pushing the envelope or mailing your resignation? Because this is fucked up. But yeah, it's terrifying how few repercussions there are for racism nowadays. Weirdly, I suppose that makes these the scariest costumes I've seen for Halloween this year, so perhaps they've worked. But paradoxically, the shocking blackface Halloween posts, which were shocking enough for people to run to for internet edgelord currency, yes, were still sufficiently unshocking enough and unpushing the boundaries enough for presumably anyone involved to be referred to as far right. Right. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Because we live in a world where people saying I love Hitler and gas them all, lol, is just kids having a laugh, isn't it?
They tell edgy, offensive jokes like that's what kids do.
Nobody needs their lives ruined over it. Blackface is just more hurty words. They're not really racist, eh? Not really. It's all in your head. You're being hysterical. Meanwhile, imaginary two-tier policing and fantasy crime epidemics are what is really worth worrying about. I mean, how is that for an indictment on racism in Britain? Real racism directed at black people comes in at less of a priority than fake crimes on white ones. That's where we're at. Christ, the racisms just go levels deep on this shitty little island, don't they? Anyway, so the kids are doing blackface for Halloween. Other people dressed up as asylum seekers, complete with dinghies. It's edgy enough to push boundaries, but nobody's going far enough for it to be categorized as far right. Make sense? Cool.
Far
right.
Watch.
Elsewhere in the realms of radicalized reactionaries,
Starmer and Khan, you disgusting pair of men. Give your jobs up, you're making a fool of yourself. Why don't you just go? Take the fucking dirty, rotten asylum seekers and go and live with them.
wow. I mean, you just know that just out of shot, just to the right of that kitchen, like into the living room, you just know that there's the son and the daughter in that living room arguing with each other. Like the daughter's shouting at the son, like, I told you not to give her a smartphone for Christmas. Didn't I tell you not to let her install Facebook? I told you it'd fry her brain.
Dirty, rotten asylum seekers, and go and live with them.
And right behind her in those kitchen cupboards, you just know there's an unopened like medication of Valium in there. Stop telling me to take me tablets. I'm trying to finish my video.
Dirty, rotten asylum seekers.
And they're like, Mum, can you at least put some pajama bottoms on, or so, and put TikTok down.
Because you, Starmer, are clearly an absolute Muslim lover.
Absolute Muslim lover. Wasn't that a Cat Stevens LP?
I'll be your absolute Muslim lover, baby.
Because you, Starmer, are clearly an absolute Muslim lover.
I mean, I'm begging you people to join my Christmas campaign, right? Like when you go back to your folks' place at Christmas, before you grab your things to leave, Christmas Day in the evening or like Boxing Day or whatever, unplug your Nan's Freeview. Disconnect the router. Seriously, I'm begging you. For the good of the country. It might feel like you're taking something away from them, but consider it a gift to the country.
Because of your incompetence, you don't want to know anything about the boat people.
No more GB news for Grandma. Christmas campaign, who's with me? Unplug your Nan's Freeview. Get involved.
Your dad's
Balls.
Okay, so what have we got here so far? We've got kids doing blackface for Halloween, outward confident racism. We've got people on TikTok and Twitter ranting about asylum seekers. They are angry, they're emboldened.
Our borders are still wide open. Abolish the ECHR, round up and mass deport every single illegal migrant that shouldn't be here.
If you think it will never happen to you, you're wrong. If you think you're on the don't rape his daughter list, you're wrong. The stats are off the fucking charts. The hotels are being flooded.
And just quickly, while we're on this, if you are interested in reality with all of this, with the stats are off the charts business, the stats on asylum seekers and crime and all of that are as follows. In 2024, there were 108,000 people claiming asylum. And that includes the main applicant, but also their dependents. So, ballpark figure, 100,000 people. There is no academic proof that shows asylum seekers are more violent or more prone to violence than us. In fact, the claims that they are, or other salacious headlines like 1 in 12 people in London are now illegal migrants, usually seem to come from sources like the Centre for Migration Control, a self-described think tank that is actually just a blog, and it is a blog that is run by one person, a reform activist called Robert Bates.
From the Centre of Migration, I love this man. Robert Bates, a very good afternoon. Welcome to Drive.
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
He also suggested that foreign nationals were responsible for up to 40% of all sexual crime in London, even though he used population data from 2021, when there were only like X number of Afghans, but crime data from 2023. After we had allowed a significant number of Afghan refugees to come in following the re-emergence of the Taliban in Afghanistan. So it is totally skewed data. On other occasions, other stories to do with immigration and crime or whatever, if you go onto the links on his website to try to have a look at the data that all of this stuff is based on, you just go round in a loop. You can't actually get to the data that he's used for it.
The stats are off the fucking charts. The hotels are being flooded. We're walking amongst animals that hate us, that want to kill us.
And as I said on the podcast the other night, which is Friday nights, by the way, Friday night, 7:30 here on YouTube, if you're ever at a loose end. Little plug for you there. But as I said on the pod the other night, I'll say it again to you now. When you see men like this,
and the protection of our children and our women and our mothers and our wives, you're a fucking animal.
You know, protesters outside hotels, Tesco valued Tommies, on Twitter and TikTok. Angry white men in sportswear shouting about protecting our girls, our women, from rapist invaders. I'm always quick to remind them, as I will now to you also. Statistically, it is significantly more likely that this guy's wife or girlfriend will be raped and murdered by him than it is that they'll be attacked by asylum seekers. And it's not even close. Anyway, what else does he say? What else is he saying in his video? Love the hot tub in the back there. By the way, you live your best life, mate. Yeah, you crack on. Do a couple videos. Get a share by Tommy Robinson. Get the rage bait ad money flowing in. Then kick back with a plastic bucket of party ice and a bottle of cava. For a hard day's work. You deserve it, son.
This morning, 10 innocent people stabbed on a train. 2 men arrested.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the train attack from the weekend, right? The one that they all jumped on again? Immediately? Before they even knew anything?
Back to that breaking news tonight. A man has been taken to hospital with serious injuries after multiple people have been stabbed on a train in Huntington.
A lot of noise and panic and people running through the train and shouting.
That's right. On Saturday the 1st of November, reports emerged that 2 men wielding knives had attempted to murder 10 to 15 people on an LNER service from Doncaster to London. And applying precisely zero journalistic integrity, literally the worst people in politics goose-stepped to their assumptions.
You can argue the British state is complicit in a crime like this because they haven't done enough to protect our borders.
A portion of those who are crossing the channel are criminals.
Indeed, Brexit Barbie, Dubai's Isabel Oakeshott, said, "I don't know who is behind the latest monstrous attack on innocent people." Oh, okay. Well, that's unusually self-aware of her. But I do know that airport-style security at train stations is ridiculous. Here's a radical suggestion. How about controlling our borders? Ah, there it is. Yeah, I don't know who is behind this, but I know it's the fucking immigrants. Immigrants are all godless, violent savages, you see? I'll hold my fucking pedo while I go and union jack off to the national anthem of the Arab Emirates. Also, in the immediate aftermath of the tragedy, town crier and Substackademic Matt Goodwin offered his condolences. Oh, this should be good. A friend texts from abroad this morning. What has happened to your country? 3 words. Mass uncontrolled immigration. Right. So the implication there then is that these knife men must have been immigrants too then, Matt. Yes? A bit like your friend from abroad too, I suppose. Except they weren't asylum seekers or indeed mass uncontrolled immigrants. The suspect turned out to be one individual, a black guy born in Britain, Anthony Williams. Like, how many times? How many times has this happened now? Like, it wasn't 2 knife men, it was 1. He wasn't a refugee, wasn't even an immigrant or a Muslim. Allegedly, it's a British guy. A British man called Anthony. So that's completely... I mean, wow, that must be embarrassing for Professor Matt Goodwin to have professed such presumptive nonsense. But I'm sure being an academic, Goodwin would have wanted to promptly correct the record and adjust his findings. So has he texted his friend back? Has he? Of course he fucking hasn't. Though in his defense, that could reasonably be because his friend never existed. Well, quite. Instead, he appeared to disregard where the individual was born, saying the 7-7 bombers were born here too. Technically, they were British, but in his view, it takes more than a piece of paper for someone to be British. Right. Okay, so people who are born in Britain are no longer necessarily British now, in Matt's view. So that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, not least because, like, how does he square that circle? How does he reconcile that view with his September stances that it is Englishness that is the ethnicity, but anyone born in Britain would be British? This isn't hard, he whimpered. You know, now he's saying it takes more than just a piece of paper for somebody to be British. So tell us, Professor, tell us, please, could you educate me? Does this rhetorical stripping of citizenship also apply to people like Suella Braverman and Zia Yusuf and Ben Habib? Or, as Mukhtar pointed out on X in reply to Goodwin's musings, how about the children of Jews who came here in the 1940s? Will they never be real Brits to Matt Goodwin? Oh, he's dug himself into quite a hole with that one, hasn't he? But I'm sure he'll dig himself out because he's very, very clever. I mean, I'm taking the piss, but, like, genuinely, he is a fascinating character. He is. Like, one minute he'll be tweeting stuff like this, right? We are winning the argument. We are shifting the Overton window, he says. But then if you point out where that window is shifting to, then he's like, don't call it far right. Stop calling people far right. It's like, we're doing it, lads. We're achieving it. We're moving the political conversation rightward. Oh, cool, Professor. Yeah, okay. So we're past legitimate concerns, are we? Oh yeah. And we're past Britain is full and unsustainable and all of that. Oh, we're way past that. That is like the distant echoes of 2017 now. Wow. Okay. So we're pushing it further to the right. Yeah, we're pushing that window. We're pushing the boundaries, the envelope to the very far. God, you're incredible, Professor. How far to the right are you going to go before you can call it the far? Don't you dare say it, you radical.
Far.
Right.
Watch. Anyway, more on him another time. For now, it's just been another instance of him and his ilk saying something stupid and jumping to conclusions.
To protect our
mass
borders.
uncontrolled immigration. I mean, you really would think that the reactionary right would have learned by now, wouldn't you? I mean, we had the sword massacre, matey, that everybody said was an Islamist going on a rampage. It turned out to be some skunk-fueled psychosis episode. We had Andrew Tate and Nigel Farage boosting and amplifying the disinformation that the Southport attacker was an asylum seeker when he wasn't. We had the guy that drove into the crowd in Liverpool, who turned out to allegedly be this white guy, Paul Doyle.
It's hard to believe that a 53-year-old white man would get in a car and drive it through a crowd in Liverpool. I just find that hard to believe.
But again and again, it just keeps happening. Like something terrible happens. Some sort of, superficially, like early days terror event takes place. They need it to be another instance of an asylum seeker doing something horrible, don't they? Because they're broader narratives, which are, foreigners are bad, we're in a civilizational war. When devoid of broad statistical evidence to back those, they require the cherry-picked exceptions to try to disprove the rule, the reality. Like I was saying on the weekend, the day after this horrible train incident took place, which was fucking barbaric by the sounds of things. But I was saying the next day, like on Blue Sky, I was saying, like, this isn't complicated, this stuff. Like when we say, why can't you just wait for the police to release a statement, wait for information to come out, why can't you wait for the specifics? They can't wait. They absolutely cannot wait because they know that reality and evidence and calm, measured reactions to things won't help with their broader political manoeuvres that they're immersed in. But they also know, in that moment, that it takes time for the police to release the information and for them to do it in such a way that it wouldn't prejudice a trial or expose the wrong people to risk. And so they know that in that window, it's only a matter of hours, is an information vacuum where lies and conspiracy can fester and flourish. And that is their time. That is their moment where they can anger wank about censorship and fight to just light the kindling. Why aren't the police releasing information? The authorities are covering it up. No, the witnesses heard them shout, Allahu Akbar. They have to strike quick. Just in that window. That is their time to shill the lies and assumptions, because to wait for the fact would be to wait to be disproved and robbed of the opportunity to sell your fucking Substack again. And if concerned by the suggestions, the lies and the opportunists, you were wondering where the leadership is in all of this. Like, how is the bullshit like this allowed to further just permeate out and infect your gran?
An absolute Muslim lover.
She breathes it all in like a fucking Guinness fart in a spacesuit. Like, maybe you're watching this stuff as it develops and you're like, you know, why is no one stepping in? Well, you'll be relieved to hear that ahead in the polls and never one to be outdone sharing unsubstantiated suspicion over the internet, Reform UK's Nigel Farage stepped in. Oh, really? Okay. To post a fake AI-generated video saying that it was footage of the man who had tried to kill him, bragging about it from his jail cell. Oh, amazing. Yeah, okay. And it was not. It's not real. It was AI-generated video designed presumably solely to evoke further tensions. So that's, good stuff. I'm excited about AI. Just think what it could do for us. Oh, and Elon Musk, literal owner of the X platform where all of this is taking place.
You either fight back or you die.
Was on Joe Rogan's podcast again, this time pretending Muslims are invading English villages and raping everybody.
These like lovely sort of small towns in England, Scotland, Ireland, they've been like sort of living their lives quietly. They're like hobbits. They were just like lovely people and everything's pleasant. Places like Hertfordshire, like the shires around in the greater London area. Until one day, 1,000 people show up in your village of 500 out of nowhere and start raping the kids. This has now happened God knows how many times in Britain.
Great. Yeah. I still think that the reason that he's so fucked up on ketamine is because the few friends that he ever had, I think they got so fed up with his shit that they just started like spiking his biltong with ket. And they were like, "Hey Brit, can I ask you a question, my bro? Is Elon a bit annoying to you?" "Yeah. I was thinking, my bro, should we just sneak him in a couple of bombs? Let him sit in a K-hole for a little bit, give us all a break." Sure. Yeah, I mean the 2 grams were expensive, but frankly, the high that I will get from him sitting by himself alone and silent for 3 hours is more of a high than I would get from the drugs themselves. So yeah, let's do it. So, where are we at as we come to a close? From grassroots to influencers, from think tanks to senior political figures to tech leaders and back, we have racism and disinformation running riot, sowing division. And what is the response when we point this stuff out? You know what divides us? Foreign men raping and murdering Brits. But of the 16,000 instances of knife crime in London in 2024, even if there were one knife rampage per week by an asylum seeker, that would account for just 0.07% of that type of offence. So given that not just the lion's share, but the colossal majority of knife crime is being committed by native Brits, you could perversely make the case that these guys are actually integrating quite well. People are being radicalised to the point that they truly believe that we are living in a far-left authoritarian dictatorship where Keir Starmer is going to enslave them with digital ID. Your great uncle and grandma remain resolutely convinced that two-tier police are about to rock up and jail them for their tweets. And somewhat confusingly, they're willing to say so in their tweets. How are the Labour government rising to this moment? Well, they still maintain that the biggest threat to them, and by extension UK democracy, is whether they can fill enough potholes in 3 years. Meanwhile, the strengthening tenets of fascism continue to talk up the possibility of overthrowing the government, of civil war, and some sort of a supranational civilizational conflict. And so the seeds of the endgame continue to be sown. The frenzy continues to grow, from flags going up all around your neighborhood to masked men trying to gain entry to hotels to this guy trying to set fire to a home that housed 2 asylum seekers, their children, and a baby. The Overton window is shifting. And what used to be completely unacceptable only 10 years ago is now barely acknowledged. It disappears in refreshed timelines, it doesn't trouble the papers, it receives virtually no condemnation. So who's to say what will or won't be unacceptable by the end of the decade? So yeah. Sorry to leave you on a bit of a downer. But whatever is coming, however all of this ends, it's probably not going to be good. It's probably going to be even worse than Morris dancing. Peace.